Follow from AltoSites, and I'm going to give you a very quick run through of the facilities request process within AltoSites, which basically involves being able to record new facilities requests, see the existing ones which are on the system, going through the dashboard capability at a high level, and just illustrating the alerts process in terms of receiving notification of new events and activities related to maintenance requests that are taking place on the system. So we've logged in and we're looking at the floor plan based view of a building, as you can see here, because we're just going to be focusing on maintenance requests. We've got various types of information on here related to, for example, ICT assets, additional server information over on the right hand side here, lighting information. But what we'll do is we'll get rid of that, so we're just looking at the maintenance information. So there's an online query here which you can use to query back data. You can save ones that you create yourselves on here, or you can sort of do it on the fly by type or by individual type of data on the system. So if we look at, for example, defect information which relates to maintenance details, we can apply that. And we've now got rid of all of the asset information on the system, and we've just got these stars which represent the maintenance requests. They're color coded by status, so this can be changed by yourselves if you want to represent information differently. But in this context, the red ones have been recorded but are outstanding. These orange yellow ones have been picked up by the site team, and so therefore they're under investigation or in the process of being fixed. And the green ones are completed. These can be removed automatically, archived in the system so that they don't clutter up the screen, but they're still available obviously for reporting purposes. So now that we've done that, let's just, before we enter in a new one, get rid of these completed ones, just to show you how you do that. So again, if we go back to the filter, we can highlight these particular statuses here, or we could just restrict it to urgent or routine ones, but let's just get back effectively back the live ones, which are ongoing at the moment. So you'll see now that all of the green ones have disappeared. Also, if we click on the asset list, then whatever's on the left-hand side here on the plan is reflected in this list here. And if we skip down, we can click on something, and then it's going to take us to the marker on the main page. And in this example, you can see we've got a photograph which has been taken as that issue was recorded. So you can do that through the smartphone if you're using a smartphone type device, or obviously you can do it straight through the portal on here. So to record a new one, this would be typically be used by, for example, a member of the site team if you don't want to use a simplistic form to enter in data. But we click on Add Point Data, move to the location on the site plan where the issue is. So let's say it's on this window here. Click on that point, up pops the form. We can just provide a title for the issue. So let's say it's a broken window. Go to the attributes. We need to provide details of where this issue is, just to confirm it from a reporting perspective. Provide the details of the building that it's actually in, again, to facilitate reports. Give it a priority. Anything in red is a priority. These fields are all customizable, so in terms of what you might potentially use, they can be completely different fields, or they can overlap with this. This is sort of decided during the implementation process, and then through the admin capability, you can change that information if you wanted to. So the date is defaulting to today's date. If you're recording estimated costs at this point, then you can enter that information. What's the defected asset type? It's a window. You can also allocate these maintenance requests directly to individual assets. So for example, if you've got your boilers on the system, you can click on an individual boiler and then associate the maintenance request explicitly with that boiler, so that you build a performance, an indication over time of the performance of that asset. We can enter in a description. So let's just do that very briefly. Categorize it again, which helps with the reporting. Status is outstanding because we're just adding it in now. We can put some additional comments in if we wanted to. So let's just say, please do SAP. And at this point, if we've got any other documents, which probably haven't in terms of recording information, but if this was a different type of data, so for example, an asset, we can associate documents or other activities with it. We save that, and we've created a new facilities request at this particular location here. So that's the process in terms of very simply recording a maintenance request through the main form here. The other way that you can do it is by a very simple forms-based approach. So this might be used by more ad hoc users. But if I click on this desktop link I've got here, this logs me in, and rather than displaying all of the fields that you saw on the pop-up marker, we're now just displaying a limited number of them. So these are the ones that we're just really interested in somebody being able to record information about, in terms of letting us know about a new issue around the site. So you can see it's much simpler in terms of its presentation, and we're just really focused on the data that we need to have in terms of a new issue being reported by someone. If somebody enters in data into their system through that mechanism, then because they're not positioning it physically on the plan or on the map, it will appear in like a cluster here. So these ones have all come in through that form-based approach. So this effectively gives you a count. So from a site perspective, if you're looking at the system as a site manager or a bursar, you get a little pool of work which is being created and will appear here. At this point, you can manage these individual maintenance requests from within here just by clicking on the asset. Or alternatively, if you wanted to maintain the spatial representation of where issues are occurring across your site, you can grab it and you can pull it into the right location in terms of where it needs to be. So this is a broken door, so maybe it's on there. So you've got the flexibility to do it both ways. So that's how you can basically go through the process of entering in a maintenance request from a site team perspective, or from the perspective, say, of a more ad hoc user. Once data is in the system, we've got the filter, as we've shown, to actually query information back through various means. Using that, you can also export information into Excel if you want, but there is a built-in analytics package here. So this is a set of dashboard reports, which will grow and evolve over time, but we're looking at basic information around live maintenance requests by status, so in terms of seeing which ones are in progress or which ones are outstanding. So if we go into that, we can expand it out in size. And to see the more details in terms of what's associated with it. It's given us a very simple count there. We close that down. The one which is based on a dial, which is this top one here, we can expand that out. And at this particular point in time, we can see that we've got different priorities down here. So this is reporting on different method of recording the priorities, opposed to being sort of urgent or routine. So this is high, low, or medium, color coded by status. So it's very easy to sort of see where the priority is in terms of the urgent, outstanding ones. Just close that down again. There are various other reports which are more focused on the sort of asset and depreciation side of things. So we've got this funnel-based one, which enables you to record incident and accidents data across the system, for example. Historical trends in terms of the volumes of work that are coming in. And again, you can sort of drill down on these reports. And if you're operating in a SLA type environment, so you want to be monitoring how quickly whether something was fixed in terms of whether it was on time or not, then, for example, there's this report here where, again, the status is priority color-coded. And then on the right-hand side here, we've got the assessment in terms of whether it was completed on time or late. So this is reporting on everything at the moment. So let's just bring back the ones which are completed. So we've got a number of filters on the left-hand side here we can use to sort of search for data. So if we go back, we've now got a simple listing of all the ones that are completed, and we can see what percentage were completed on time and which ones were late. And we can then sort that if we want to, so we can reorder it. And then from here, you can basically generate statistical reports across the system. So if we go back to the main page. So that's in terms of looking at sort of facilities requests. Again, we've got this sort of historical view here where we can drill down into more details. In terms of things like compliance inspections, if that's of interest, a couple of different reports here at the moment. But there's this one here, which in addition to separately providing a calendar-based view, also gives you a list-based view. It's color-coded again by status. So what it's saying is that these red ones are outstanding, so they should have started but haven't for whatever reason. These ones are due in the next 30 days, and you can change the way it sort of categorizes these bands. And these ones are due, future due, but more than 30 days away. So these are the ones we should be sort of focusing on from a management perspective in terms of the ones which are about to start. And clearly, we should also be worried about these ones which should have started but actually haven't. And you can draw down into the individual details on any of these by clicking on that button. And then if the details are in progress, that'll list out the inspections. So let's just close that down again. And then we've also got, just as another example, in terms of looking at ones where the results have been recorded, a very simple traffic light based system which tells you which ones have passed the inspections and which ones haven't. So again, if we wanted to see more details about any one of these, then we could drill down to see the details as to what exactly the problem is with that particular fire inspection that took place. So that's a very quick walkthrough on the capability of some aspects of the dashboard. As we were creating those, then it'll email us to let us know about those defects, because you can set up maintenance, alerts or watchers, which will then automatically email us. So if we go into email, so this is effectively me as the site team being notified of a new urgent issue which has been reported. You can click on the link and it will go straight to the marker that's being recorded on the system. And then bring up the details associated with it. And from there, you could obviously go in to see the full information. So that's me as in terms of a member of the site team, and you can put whatever information you like from the main screen into the emails. So basically, you can design your own email format and the content of it. And then in terms of service request type functionality, you can also notify the original creator. So this is an email which has gone out to the creator to say, basically, thanks for raising a new facilities request, it's been received, it's under review, and then it just confirms the details in terms of what's been reported. The responses field down here, if this member of the site team goes into that marker and updates it with some comments in terms of what they're doing to affect this repair, they would then go into the responses field. That would again be picked up by the system, and I would receive another email telling me what new responses, what new comments have been put into the responses field. So you can keep the person who made the request up to date in terms of what's happening from a repair perspective. So that's looking at things in terms of sort of basic communication as information is created back out to the site team and also back out to the person that created it. One other aspect of the system, just to mention briefly, so we're very focused in terms of visualization, hence the use of the 2D and 3D floor plans. Let's just expand the size of the screen here. But we've also got the ability to record what are called 3D photospheres. So these are sort of 360-degree photos which have been recorded on the system. So let's just remove the filter that's currently operating on there. I'll create all the data back. Get rid of that. Do it again. And what we will see here is, let me just take this filter off as well. So now we've got all the information coming back. And on here, we've got a number of photospheres. So in this room here, for example, we can click on that, see the details that might have been recorded and associated with it. Or alternatively, we can actually view the photosphere. And so this is a bit like bringing Google Street View into a building. So you can take this image in as many of the rooms as you wanted to, and it gives you a much better idea in terms of what's actually in that room space. So this is our initial integration with photospheres. So you can basically go around through the school, and you can also use this to promote the facilities if you're hiring out gym, for example. And then the new addition to that capability, which we're just doing final testing on at the moment, but just to let you know, is this. So here's a site floor plan where we've got these camera positions where the photospheres have been taken, and we've got some example facilities requests again. Just zoom in a bit. What we can now do is in addition to seeing the information on the 2D plan, we can open up the photosphere. So the photosphere and the two-dimensional floor plan are integrated together at this point. So what we can see is not only the data on the floor plan on the left-hand side, but these red circles indicate the location of those markers on the photosphere. So if I click on that one there, it's the desktop on the left-hand side here, and then here we've got a problem with the desk, which is damaged. So you get a sort of 360-degree immersive experience of the view, which you can then use again to create maintenance or asset information through the photosphere view, or alternatively you can do it on the two-dimensional floor plan. And you can see here we've got the photosphere at the other end of the room. So if I click on that, we're effectively virtually walking the building, or the room in this case. So we're now at the other end of the room. So if we turn around, we can see the markers that are now behind us. And that was the view that we were at a minute ago. So this is again is another level of visualization which just helps to make the management of the data so much easier as people are moving around the site. So the use of the photospheres is entirely optional, so you can just stick with the two-dimensional floor plan. I hope that's been useful, but if there are any other questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me. Thank you.